Nikki, so good to see you. So glad. And Marie, you guys are so cute, so darling. We are doing our monthly Q&A. We know that there's a bunch of you that want to watch this later, and we are so happy for that. Know that it's in the middle of the day. We got that, so you can watch it at your leisure with a hopefully delectable treat on the side. Okay, speaking of, anybody tried the True Fruit at Costco? This is not a shameless plug. Well, kind of. Anyone tried the True Fruit? It's frozen berries with white chocolate and then dark chocolate for the raspberries and then milk chocolate for the strawberries. They're like 50 calories for like 4 or 5 of them. Oh my goodness. It's like our new addiction. It's so good. I can quit anytime. But it's so, so yum. So if you're looking for a yummy treat that just needs that, finish your meal with that little sweet treat. I don't know about you. I've got to have a little something at the end. I can be all healthy and salad and all that stuff and soup and whatever, but I gotta have a little something that's got something that's got that chocolate and that little yummy sweet treat. So anyway, check out the True Fruit. It's TRUFRU with an umlaut over the top. Yeah, I studied German. So yeah, the little 2 dots over the U. So that's what it's in the Costco freezer section in case you're interested. All right. All right, welcome to the monthly Q&A. Thank you for being here officially, and we are here to answer questions that you might have. So feel free. This is going to be question-led, so feel free to ask any questions that you have. If you're a little shy, you can type it in the chat. For those of you that are not as familiar with the chat, just go down and hover the cursor over the bottom bar that will pop up, and it says there chat, like a little balloon thing, and it says chat. So just click on that. And on the bottom right will pop up almost like where you can text, and it says to everyone. And you can just text, almost like you're texting, just type in a question or a comment or whatever you'd like to have. Because I would love to know what's on your mind. I'm going to give plenty of time, a quiet time for you to be able to respond so that I'm not just talking over you. Not that that's ever happened, but I would love to know what your questions are. And for those that are watching later, go ahead and post your questions and we will respond to them. If it's just on the feed, actually on the Facebook page or something like that, because we want to answer your questions. Every Q&A, we have a sort of a kind of a theme, so to speak, so that we have some things that we'd love to focus on so that you're like, hey, this month, that's really jiving with what I want to work on. What we're doing this month is focusing on organization. I know, perish the thought. Some people hate that word because they're like, that means I'm less than. That means I don't know how to organize my life. I don't know how to I have just mess, that I live in constant mess. But it's not a diss. Organization is actually a beautiful way for us to create a system to fulfill our purpose. And we're all about purpose-filled life here. So I think when we make peace with organization, when we really start to see the blessing of it and what it can do for us, and also add on the fact that we can organize in a way that works for us. And it doesn't have to be a cookie cutter like for everybody else, like your friend down the street who loves to have her spice rack alphabetized and also color coordinated, right? Then you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to be like that in order to be organized. You don't. There is organization in everything that we do. We have a form and a rhythm that we follow and that we like. And once we make peace with that and we start to work with that, then we'll start to see things shift in our lives, that we'll start to see we've intentionally made space for more, and that we've created some sort of order and rhythm. I talk about rhythms and routines that help us to be able to open up to more abundance and then create a space to receive it. Because a lot of us will end up saying, well, I'm praying for more of this and I want more health, I want more wealth, I want more time, I want more energy, but we haven't created a space for it, or we haven't said, I'm doing my part. I've cleared out this closet. I've cleaned out my schedule. I've opened up to more. We're just wanting more, but we're just stuffing after a turkey dinner. We're just saying, but I want more dessert. And it's just not going to work. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to taste good. It's not going to work for us. And it certainly won't be sustainable. So I think the very first thing that I want to share with you is just that, is embracing organization and finding what does that mean to you. Now we know there's 2 parts to getting organized, right? There's the declutter, and then there's the organizing the system. And sometimes we don't realize that. We say, I'm going to get organized. And if you've done this, it's a Saturday morning and you're like, all right, we're going to do the garage, everybody. And you get out there and people are whining and you're like trying to get this out. And then about an hour and a half through, nobody wants to keep doing it. People have taken off. There's stuff strewn all over the garage floor. And you're like, well, just shove it into the things and we'll do this next time. Go get a popsicle, right? So instead of doing that, we can first see how we feel about an organization, then see what it is that's holding us back. Is that we feel it's too structured, or do we feel like we don't see the benefits of it? So kind of play with that and see where your kind of gap is between you getting organized and actually being organized. I always focus on outcomes. I don't know about you. I want to know what it's going to do for me. And then I'm going to put my time and energy into it. And I can tell you right now, getting organized will bless your life over and over. You will have more abundance in time, energy, money, and resources. You will have clarity. You will save money because Julie Morgenstern talked about how much, I think it was thousands of dollars that Americans waste every year rebuying the same thing, scissors, wrenches that we already have, but we just can't find, right? And we'll save thousands of hours trying to find said things. I remember several months back, somebody needed something. Oh, I think it was for driver's ed or something. They're like, I need these documents. And I walked over to my vital documents tab, which no one had touched, and I opened it and went into the file that said vital documents. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, do you need this one right here? Stellar mom moment. Got a yummy treat on that one because it was a miracle to me. Yay! I not only got organized, but the sustained organization saved me time, money, energy, and made it possible for us to do it on the fly. That's the beauty of being organized. It's being able to know what you have, know how to use it, and when you need to use it, it's right there and available for you. Nothing better than that feeling of, ooh, so satisfying. It was exactly where it needed to be, and I can use the thing that I have. There really is a joy in the filling the measure of our creation, even in using the tools and things that we have in our lives and around our houses. I find that, I don't know about you, have you felt that where you use the right kitchen tool at the right time and you found it in the drawer and it's still there and it hasn't been used to dig a fort, and you go out to the garage and you're going to go, like we're doing a garden. Don't get any big ideas. It was a 4x4 square foot garden. Okay. And we had tried 3 different times and it was like crazy. It was not working. But I got this thing of, I think this is the year we're going to try again. And because I had that idea, I thought, you know what? This is going to bless our lives as a family and all of those things. I really want to do this in an organized way. How can I do this? So I reached out to a neighbor of mine who does love gardening and is not a black thumb like me. So I talked to her and I said, what's a good way to do it? Well, her and her husband walk past my house all the time to do their walking. They're darling. And she said, I noticed you have a dog run, a metal cage kind of a thing that you're not using. So you know what? I think it might fit over your 4x4 garden that we already had in there. It might fit so that you won't have a problem with the deer. We tried it, done. Then she gave me all the ideas of what to do, how to organize this garden, how to go down and get the stuff. So a next principle is to get help, to get someone to help you with it, because just trying to organize on your own, probably not going to work, because we're going to get halfway through and then we'll be like shoving it back in, like I said. So get someone to help, either someone you can be accountable to or someone who knows how to organize closets or who knows about the kitchen or whatever, and just call them up like a friend and just say, hey, I want to do this and I'm not sure what's a good starting place. Do you have some great, YouTube places for me to go check out, or anything that you've used that you recommend, blah, blah, blah. That's a great way to do that, is to be able to involve someone else. The beauty about involving someone else in organization, of getting ideas and having some thoughts about it, is that now you're going to get excited and you kind of committed, right? In a good way. So now you've opened this blessing door, this abundance door to, oh, I want to do this. And now I'm stating it. Wow. What's there for me? There's probably people and resources and all kinds of things that I can use. Another thing about organization, I would love your questions or comments on the side. So feel free to ask. I'm going to give one more tip and then I'm going to ask you what's your questions on organization, or if you have a question about purpose or joy or anything else, feel free. Another thing with the organization is, like I said, you want to start with even back before the declutter. There's the 2 pieces, declutter and getting organized, creating a system, right? So that you can sustain it. Even before that, what's the thing I always come back to? It's purpose. All right. So what's the purpose of the space? And this is where I do my formula, my beautiful formula that is secret, not so secret, but it is the formula that I have used for years. In fact, when I was teaching Education Week, I can't remember if I've shared this with you, but I was teaching Education Week one year, this formula to get organized, and it was hysterical. I was like, this is going to change your life. I know it because I've used it for everything, from creating a presentation, PowerPoint, to chore charts for the kids, to how I'm going to manage my finances, all of these things, I use this one stop formula. And it took me years to figure it out and read all the books and do all the stuff. And I funneled it down and I figured it out and I practiced it and tweaked it and tried it and retested it. And I've used it forever. I use it all the time. And I'm going to share this formula with you. And I kid you not, at that moment, the fire alarm went off. I'm not kidding. And we all went, what? So all of these women, there are probably, I don't know, 500 women in that room. And we all file out. And I'm grabbing my scriptures. We're filing out. I don't know if we're going to be able to come back. And I'm not joking. As we're going, we're all like mass cows herding down this thing and trying to get out the building. And women are coming up to me and saying, can you just tell me that formula? Just really quick, just really fast. It's so funny. I was like, it's okay. I'm sure we're going back in and I'll be able to share it with you. But it was pretty funny. They were like, I want the formula. So we did go back in and I did share it. So the formula is this, very simple. Veers. Think I'm going to veer in a new direction. V-E-E-R-S. Okay. And I don't want to put up a cute little slide or anything right now. This is just down and dirty. Veers. Okay. Let's try it. V and E is for visualize and evaluate. That means the first thing you're going to do to organize a space is not go in and start chucking. It's first to sit in a chair, preferably with a lemonade, and a piece of paper, and sketch that room or that closet or that kitchen counter. And you go, what do I want it to look like? How do I want the space to function? What would be my ideal for this on the daily? Ask yourself some of those questions. And then when you get that sketch, get that plan, then you can go to the next step, which is the next E, which is eliminate. So you just want to take everything. When I did this for Studio 5, I just took a big clear tub and I had that kitchen counter. You know, everybody has one where the backpacks go and the apple cores and the soccer cleats. And I just took a great big tub and I just went whoo, and put it all in the tub and put it to the side. And I said, we will all go through that later. Clear space. There is something magical. Do you know what I'm saying about a clear space? So I watched that clear space and then I had my sketch thing and I put it, and we did it for Studio 5. In fact, I think we should probably post this later is the actual thing, but I did it on high speed and I put everything back that I wanted. So the R is for replace, and you replace only with the stuff that belongs, only with the things that you want there, only with the things like Marie Coble said, that spark joy, which means it fulfills a function or it's just plain fun, right? I always talk about functional and fun. We got to have it. So those two pieces, in fact, it's in the same word, right? Fun, functional. It's all in one. We got to have both. So after you've replaced things with what you want it to be, then it's S for savor. And do this part. I have cleaned out the garage and I taught my kids veers and I said, I'm taking off. Go ahead and do veers. And I came back and it was actually 90% done and it was good. And I had them savor. When we did our food storage, we hauled everything down, we organized everything in, and then I said, let's do Sundays because we're going to savor this. We kept coming down and looking at it. It looks so good. So that's the formula. Veers, V-E-E-R-S, to veer in a new direction. Any questions or thoughts on that? I love that. I think that's my biggest obstacle is asking for help. Yeah, exactly. And we don't want to admit, wow, my laundry room is scary. But guess what? Most everybody's laundry room is scary. So just so you know. Anybody have any thoughts on the Veers formula, or if that resonates with you, if you feel like, yeah, that's a good thing, or I've tried that, or, oh, I'd love to try that, or I have a space that I know I want to use that on. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
My question is, how do you keep everybody else from putting their stuff back on, and because, you know, or getting back in that habit of throwing everything back on?
That is an excellent question. How do you get everybody else to get on board, especially when you have a family, right? I have struggled with this, 7 kids. I have struggled with this over and over. I would clean out our master closet, a master bathroom cabinet that has all the medicines and everything in it, and it'd be beautiful, tubs for adults, children, whatever. And then within 2 weeks, it was like, what? So what I have found is that I show them the space, or we all have buy-in to the space, because they realize then how much it took for us to do that food storage. They had to blood, sweat, and tears, and they had to give up play dates and things like that. So they do not want to do that again. And then the second thing is so important. We teach them the system, and it's got to be simple. What belongs on this kitchen counter? Anyone want to tell me what belongs here? And it should be 3, 4 things. That's it. and then say, what doesn't belong here? Yeah, now you know. And then in that first week, I would charge $1, maybe $5 per item that doesn't belong. But this means the mom is going to have to be on it for about a week. But I can tell you that I have, you mean no Legos? But I can tell you that when I was on it and was right on that, say, somebody's got shoes here, that's a warning. It's 10 seconds, it's got to be gone, or it's $1. Shoo! And they're taking it and it's gone. Now, most of my spaces, my cabinet is great. I think they really learned, and it doesn't have to be $1 or whatever, but it could be whatever is their pain point. You want to get that, but be able to let them know one space at a time so that they get that this is the new rhythm, this is the new routine, and you will be shocked at how quickly they will adapt. And they will also try to put it to a different space because, nature abhors a vacuum or an empty, unorganized space. So, they're just going to try to put it somewhere else. And then you have the choice of, I'm going to container the space, meaning, fine, you all want to put your shoes there. I'm just going to make a nice big basket and just throw them all in because I'm just not going to fight the tide, right? Or you're going to work on that space and say, this week, we're going to organize this space, right? So that's a really important thing, is figuring out what's your approach for your kids, and then what's the pain point and the bonus point. I'm a positive person. I like bonusing. So I like saying, if you keep this space clean, and if you can own, yep, I kept my space and I haven't seen, and I can see that there's been nothing of yours this week, then you get to have blah. Maybe it's an hour extra of screen time, or you get to have a pizza party with your friends coming over because the space was really, really bad before and now it's good. So whatever it is, make it some dangling carrot. I always talk about the dangling carrot. Make it a dangling carrot. But the pain point works, especially sometimes for, I hate to say it, for teenagers, because they really don't care. They have everything they need and they don't really care unless you take away their phone, and then they're just going to find another way. No offense at all. But, find whatever it is that works for your child, children, your family. That would be the bonus or the pain point, and see which one will work. I always encourage you to start with the bonus. It's always good to positively encourage. We have questions on the formula is BEERS, BEERS. So BEERS, and it stands for visualize and evaluate, eliminate, R is for replace, and S is for savor. So VEERS. Does that make sense? Awesome. Excellent question. Also, another Facebook question: how do you know which counter or space you want to attack first? The one that's attacking you, right? The one that you walk into and you're like, oh my gosh, and you just go, I don't see you, and you just go elsewhere. Or it's the one that's making you get really cranky with your family, right? I came home the other day and it was so one of those moments. I know you can probably relate to me, but when you're patient as a mom, now this is my story, so you're hearing it from me. But I feel like, especially my type 3 personality, I'm a go, and I feel like I'm super patient with teenagers and 8-year-old that, they just throw things wherever they go. And I keep saying, honey, would you mind? And I really do say things like that. Sweetheart, would you please? Honey, I'd so appreciate. You know what? I really love when I literally do this. This is how I speak to my children. Okay. So after weeks and months when they're not doing it, you know what I feel like? That's how I feel. So I came upstairs and I had already set out dinner and we had it on the counter and everything. Well, the last person to eat, the rule is they put it away. So I came in from picking up and running and blah, 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 came home, walked in the door, and it still wasn't picked up. And I just have to tell you, those moments where you're like, I'm done. And I was like, oh my gosh, who was the last person to eat at the counter, right? Blah. And my daughter comes to the top of the stairs and I'm like, sweetheart, in the 3-4 hours that you were home, I love you, but could you not have done the counter? I mean, I was really upset. This is me upset. Years ago, it was really upset. This was me upset now. She knew I was upset. Her eyes like big as saucers. And then I'm not kidding. And I start cleaning stuff up and she's going to come down and help me, but I'm starting to clean up and because I got stuff to bring in to put on the counter. And then she stops at the top of the stairs. She said, I got a surprise for you upstairs. She had made my bed and put a little sticky note because she had been a pill this morning, first off. And I was like, I did nice things for you. So it was hysterical. The one time that you're like, that's enough. And then your children do something loving and kind and you're like, okay, sorry. Anyway, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. So whatever space it is, that is the one for me, the thing that I like, the one that is driving me the most crazy, because that's where I'm going to notice the success the most. So For a while, it was the front entry where everyone was throwing shoes and backpacks and things like that. So then we changed it. We got an IKEA stand that looked really pretty, but only held so many shoes. And then at first I was really good at the end of the day or the end of the week, I said, you only get one pair of shoes to stay up here. Anything else is $1 a pair. So I was really good at the beginning of that. And now we're in a general good thing. We kind of go ebb and flow, you know, it goes really good. And then sometimes it's like a disaster and then it's good. But I started with that because that's the thing. When I walked in the door first, that's what I saw. So, and that's what made me a little bit cranky. Some other people, it's a kitchen counter. Like that's when I did that for Studio 5. It was that kitchen counter that drove me nuts and it was the resting place for everything. Now my kitchen counter is great. It is generally just great all the time. So I would go maybe start with the one that is the hardest for you. I love this from Taryn. Sometimes I start with the easy surface. Other times I start with the one that's making me the craziest. And that's a great point, especially if you don't have a lot of time. Starting with the easiest gives you an easy win, right? You're like, I did this today. You know, I organized that counter today. Yeah, and there was like 4 things on it. It's fine. But even a drawer. I remember years ago, a friend of mine saying she always does 5 things when she's talking on the phone. She goes into a drawer and she takes out 5 things that don't belong, throws them away or whatever she needs to do, and then walks away. Just 5 things at a time. I love that. And that was so great. I still remember it to this day. So I'd love any other thoughts, any other questions about organization, what's working for you, what's not. Oh, I love that. Sometimes I do the 10-minute timer in the mornings. I love that. Setting a timer so that you're not getting all cranky by going for a half hour, 45 minutes, and you're like, I didn't even plan to do this. What the heck? Unless it's energy rich. And then if you're like, oh, this is so good, that's totally different. So I love that, setting a timer. I know for a while when I had lots of kids at home in the morning, I would put on my tidy up apron. And as soon as they walked out the door, it just worked out for me like this. As soon as they walked out the door, I would put on my tidy up aprons that had pockets and I had a cloth and things like that. And then I would just go top to bottom and just do quick, 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 quick. And then I just kind of cut it down to where's the main spots that people would see when they come in, and then the kids can do the rest when they do their chores. But for me, it felt so good to be able to know my living room, my entry, my kitchen counter, it's clear and my bed is made, and it was lovely. It made it so that I tidied up in 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most. And then the rest of the day was so smooth. It just worked for me. But again, whatever works for you, you can have a quick tidy up before dinner or before family prayer at night if you do family prayer. I've liked that too, where I'm like, before we talk about rides and fun things you're going to do this weekend at our planning at family prayer, go do your zone. So they know that that's what they need to do before we actually sit down. Go feed the cat, do whatever, and then we're going to sit down. Like I said, don't think I do this like a boss. I don't. Just last week, I'm like, we got to get back on that about feeding the cat at certain times because now everybody's feeding the cat and we're off schedule. So we got to get back onto, no, sweet, it's your job before we have family prayer, go check her food. So if that makes sense. An apron is amazing to quickly shift your mindset and get in cleaning organization mode. Yes, it really is fantastic. And you can just do your own kind of apron. You can even add a pocket if you want, or have a little tool belt. Maybe, heaven forbid, should I mention a fanny pack? Is that even, you know what? The 80s are so back in, acid wash jeans, mom jeans, and Reeboks. I mean, come on. I'm waiting for the big bangs to start coming back in. Please no. Anyway, I'm curious how you do the zone thing with kids. For me, what works for me, and we've changed it over the years in different ways. What works for me is that we have daily jobs that they're in charge of, and then we have zones, and we switch those about every 2 weeks. Zones are the main areas that are my pain points, our family pain points. They may not even know they are, but they are. So it's vacuum and garbage and dusting and kitchen floor and all the kind of hardwood floors. And then what's the other one? Now that there's less kids, we've had to like dial it down. It's really sad. I don't have the personal slaves anymore. Anyway, so it's hard because you don't have that much help, but then you're also not making as much mess. So we have just those main things. So go through and just figure out what's your 3 to 5 main areas that you're like, these have got to be done on the weekly, right? And you know that they're going to be done like 80 to 90%. Well, and then once a month you can get in and just like sanitize and make sure it's good. But I have those main zones, and then we just switch them every 2 weeks. And then at first I used to have a card that had 3 to 5 things that would be like, if you're doing vacuuming, this is the way you do the vacuuming zone, 3 to 5 things, because apparently they didn't know how to push the vacuum back and forth and make it be vacuumed, right? So I had to have little cards, and I put them on the inside of the door where our supplies were so they could see where the cards were and they could check. That's for when you had littles and kind of medium littles and things like that. You know, teenagers now, you just, like now, my poor 8-year-old, he's the last of 7, so I give him a sticky note like this, and then we check it off and say, hooray, and go get a popsicle. That's what we do. No more dino dollars in the dino store, I'll tell you what. But we do the zones, but the dailies, those are things that kind of don't change. So everyone has a dishwasher day. And now that we have less kids, people have 2 days. And they know that they have to now have a clear counter the next morning because otherwise they wait for 2 days to get the job done. See, water finds a way. So you kind of got to stay on it. But they have their dishwasher day, and then someone's in charge of feeding the cat, and the garbage knows that they need to check it a couple times a week and then get it out on a Monday night. So they have sort of those like dailies. And then when we do our zones, they do their bedroom, bathroom, and their zone. So that's a Saturday or a Thursday. But you can tell me how it was for you guys when you were young. We had to do chores at first. We had to do it on a Saturday, and I hated Saturdays. That was like I was so ready to play. And my mom beautifully changed it to Thursday night. So Thursday afternoon, Thursday night, whatever you needed to do, but it just had to be done before you wanted to go out to do something like cheer or whatever. So I loved that because then Saturdays were ours. Sometimes we had the landscape project, the usual weeding or things like that, but we weren't spending all day on Saturday cleaning. And I love that. So I don't know how that works for you guys. Feel free to let me know, unmute, or you can put it in the chat what works. I love that. I'm so glad it's worked wonders. I love it. Now, the irony is that now that we're older, some of the kids, their schedule, it actually works better for them to do it Saturday. So now the rule is they just know that it has to be done by Saturday before they want to go out. So if it's better for them on a Thursday or a Friday, they could totally do that. But starting about Thursday, because otherwise you can't tell the house is clean. And I want to look at the house and say, the house is clean, especially before Sunday. So we do that whole getting ready for Sunday, right? Saturday is especially, yeah, we still follow that because I use it as an excuse because I just want to have the house clean, really. So, and it feels good to do it before Sunday. Any other thoughts or questions? Timers are magical. They give a stopping point. They also help you to get going, which is all you need. That is so true. And it's good for littles. It's good for kids to know they're not going to be endless and eternal. Because you know how mom's time, kind of like Newtonian time and then Einstein time and then the Lord's time, there's mom's time, which is just a sec. Or we're just going to do that real quick. And the kids know that real quick could mean anywhere from 5 minutes to about 6.5 hours, depending on what mom says we're going to be doing. So I think it gives them that ability to go, you know what? I know I'm only going to be doing this for 15 minutes. So I don't want to, but I'm gonna, as one of our disciple thought leadership women say, I don't want to, but I'm gonna. Any other questions before we wrap up? Any other thoughts? I love it. From Janaki, if you have so many things still left unorganized and you see them all the time, how do you pace yourself over the long run to get everything functional? With the capital FUN for fun in the functional. I love that. Thank you. What I would recommend, so there's just my thoughts. What I would recommend is that you just make a list, like your wish list. I would love to clean this space, this space, this space, and this space. And that way you have an idea in your mind's eye of, okay, how much do I want to do? What actually all needs to get done? Then the next thing I would encourage is you could say, who can do this? Because sometimes people, like we as moms, probably not ever happened to you, but we kind of do it ourselves, right? And instead of saying, you know what, I'm okay if they do it and it's done to like a 70, 60%. It's okay because you are teaching them. And then I would encourage you to maybe treat yourself like once every 3 months or something to have professional house cleaners come in and just make it pretty. Just make it nice, sanitize it and make it nice, right? That's your Mother's Day gift to you. Hint, hint, family. So I invite you to write down the spaces that you want to have be organized and then start with the one that resonates most. Maybe it's your worst space, maybe it's your easiest space, whatever it is, but resonates the most. So you decide, oh, it's the entryway or whatever. And then decide how you want to go about it. Do I want this to be a mom thing, me only? Do I want it to be a family thing? We do it for family night and say, okay, here's the marching orders, guys. And who can do it quickest is going to be able to get an extra scoop of ice cream or whatever. But you decide how you want to approach that getting organized. And I invite you to use the viewer's formula. Be able to sit back in a chair, see how you want it to be, what purpose it's going to fulfill, how that space is going to be used, and then enlist others to help you make that happen. Everybody declutter. Everyone find 5 things, take them and put them in a bag and have a DI bag, a garbage bag, and a do something with it later bag, right? Or a box so that people can just run and grab and then do all the kind of minion work. And then you can do all the thinking work and say, okay, we need to put it here, 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 and here. And then you go through the saver process. So again, that's just a thought. Any other questions, my loves? Awesome. As always, if you have anything you want more of, on conniesokol.com, I've got tons of videos and blog posts. I think we even have the Studio 5 thing I was talking about, cleaning off the counter, and I talk about beers on there. You're welcome to check that out. I also have courses and things. If you want to check those out, you're welcome to check those out. I've got lots and lots of resources for you to be able to kind of look through and say, what do I feel like? Where am I at right now? What do I want? The thing that we're going to spotlight today is our third Disciple Thought Leadership Retreat is in March. Now, this month, the end of the month, the 25th through the 27th. We have amazing women coming to this retreat. So if it's something that you want to know more about, give me a holler. Lamira can put the link to the discovery call in the chat on the side. If you want to know more, it's for me to help mentor moms with a message for him. It's all about being able to take whatever we do in our sphere, whether it's DIY crafts, education, photography, whatever it is that art is our passion, and be able to take it and do it through a disciple thought leader lens where we use our talents, gifts, and abilities for him. Absolutely for him, to gather Israel. That's what we're doing. And we're able to take those things that we love and we're able to do it in a way that has a Christ-centered plan that helps you get traction. So you know how sometimes like you feel called to do something and you've got some pieces, but it's just not cohesive and you don't know what to do with it. That's what we do. We help you make a cohesive Christ-centered plan, get it aligned, keep your family first, but keep you moving forward, get traction, and then share his message through you for them to be prepared to meet him. That's what we do. So if you have any questions or want to know more about that, then give me a call. We can chat. Meanwhile, any other questions or things that you need to know, you can get more on my podcast. We put out a new podcast every week. You can check it on my social media. Fabulous guests. We've had everyone from Jane Clayson Johnson from CBS This Morning, that is formerly known as, and from Jennifer Nielsen, New York Times bestselling author, Hillary Weeks, Emily Bell Freeman. We have fabulous guests on there whom I adore, and really fun. I call it kitchen table conversation. You know, it's just this, but it's with this heart and this soul. And it's just, oh my gosh, really adorable people, and the feels, all the feels. We're laughing and we're crying. It's just 30 minutes of goodness. So if you want to check that out, it's called Purpose Filled Life, and it's on iTunes, and it's also on our social media as well. Awesome. Any other questions? One question, anything else that you want me to do? And also, again, if you want to do a call, conniesokol.com/apply. Last question. Do you ever just put stuff in bins because you're not sure if you're ready to get rid of it yet? All the time. In fact, I will share this one cool experience. I promise. I promised Lamira I would only take 30 minutes. I end up getting going, and I just love you guys, and I want to just like chat. Anyway, so I do that. You know, they say, like, if you're not sure, put it in a box or a tub, and then 6 months later, look at it. Well, whoever remembers 6 months later, I don't. But I do put stuff in tubs that I'm not sure, and I still have an emotional attachment to, and I'm not sure why. So I put it away. Well, about 2 months ago, I felt this feeling to go and check through some of my old business tubs, right? When I started Life Change. If anyone remembers that from way back, I bet Tara remembers that. Anyway, so all the way back, I started opening these tubs. You guys, it was like going down memory lane, like when you open up the ornaments, the Christmas ornaments, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I remember her, and she did that box, and she did that program, and she did, oh my gosh, I wonder where they are now. And then I found the list of my old life coaches. Oh my gosh, Taryn, you remember that? Yes. I found the list of my old life coaches, and I couldn't remember who they all were. It was so long ago. It was like 15 years, 17 years. And I had always wanted to do something extra special for them because I had another baby, and there was a lot of stuff going on, and so I had to close things up at that time. And I'd always want to do something extra special. I mean, just something special then, but I want to do something extra special. And it stayed in the back of my mind. So I started going through this stuff, and I had that feeling thought of, I want to do something cool for them. And I talked to Lamira. I said, I want to give them a free retreat. Wouldn't that be so great? So we did a free retreat for them in February. And it was like old home week, seeing all these coaches. And there were people who had come on as well that weren't coaches, but all these coaches. It was just, it was tender. And they talked about how it had been so life-changing for them and using their lifetime. And they said, some were like, that experience is what I attribute my success in my career and my family and my blah, blah, blah right now, because you started me on those paths and I applied those things and I was able to teach them. And oh my gosh, it was so, I can't even express it. It was such a joy, a soul joy. So long answer to your short question, yes. If you have a hesitation, then a serious hesitation, then put it in a tub. Now, I will challenge you also. I have my DI bag and my garbage bag, and I always look at something and go, will I really do this? the little rain boots with the polka dots and the fake daisies. Will I really use that in the future? And usually it goes into DI because it's still usable. So I invite you to really, does it spark joy, or is it something that you feel like you're actually going to use in the future? Or if you're not sure, yes, put it in a tub. Excellent question. All right, ladies, anything else? This is so fun. I've loved your comments. Aw, thank you, Diana. Clapping to you too. Thank you so much for taking the time and making the time to do this. And all of you watching later, we love and adore you, and you've been here in spirit. And if you have further questions now that you've watched this, feel free to send them to us. You can either post it on the Facebook group on Purpose Filled Women, or if you really, it's a long, detailed question that you really need help with, then you can do it to lemira@conniesokol.com. That's LEMIRA at conniesokol.com. Hey? All right. We love you. And you can check out the replay if you missed anything. All right. Love you. Have a fabulous week.